Welcome to another episode of the IBC Guys. I'm Dave. This is Mike. Hey, Mike, do you know that we're going to start another podcast? Have we talked about that yet? It's going to be called Handyman Hour with Mike Stevens. Because you're building fences, you're putting baseboards in, you're laying floors. So Mike's been doing a lot of handiwork stuff around his house and his gym. He owns a gym in his little town there. So he's just been busy with all that. So I've seen pictures, just got one today. Everything looks good. So maybe we start another podcast. What do you think about
Uh,
that?
I don't think so.
All
I
right.
don't
Hey,
think so.
I'm throwing it out as an idea. So we'll see.
No, probably
All right.
not.
But we have an interesting episode for everybody today. And I say interesting because I actually have no idea what it's going to be about. Mike said, Dave, we're going to do this thing. It's going to be a surprise to you, which makes me a little nervous. I'm a little wary. Just to be candid and honest with everybody, but I'm also excited about at the same time. So I don't have any prep for it.
Yeah,
Um,
so I was just thinking of an analogy to kind of explain IBC. And I kind of stumbled upon this crazy idea in my mind. But
a dangerous
it,
place, your mind. So
yeah,
we'll
it
see.
absolutely is. But have you heard of the old fable of the goose that laid the golden eggs?
Well, if you're jumping in, I gotta stop you because we gotta do all that podcast stuff, Mike. Like I gotta talk through. So don't jump in. Maybe other people have. I will answer your question, and I think I've heard of it. I don't know if I could recite it for you, but let me pause here and let me get to the podcast stuff. So the IBC guys, we exist for three reasons. One, we want to get information out. We want to educate people to have them have their own understanding of what this is and then make a decision. I think we'd be remiss if people did not have the information, never knew about it. That's why we're doing what we're doing. The second thing or second reason we do what we do is to bring tangible real life examples to people. We had a lot of fun the last two episodes doing the topic of how to purchase a car using IBC. We tried our best to, within our time frame and our capabilities, give practical example of what it would look like to buy a car. So that's one example. But the third one then is to spread the message. We want to get the message out. So if you would share, like, subscribe, do all those, social media words, share it with your dentist, whatever. We just had the discussion prior to jumping on this call. We've had several people reach out, and it's been a lot of fun when it's not, someone that we know, but people are reaching out, calling in. Um, I don't know, it's a lot of fun to connect with people that way. So if that's you, please do so. We have a phone number, 507-205-2284. All our social media stuff's in the show notes. My email is dave@familybankingsolutions.com. Mike's is mike@familybankingsolutions.com. Yes, we were geniuses in naming those. We made them nice and simple. But if you want to reach out, please do so. And we'd be happy to chat with you, get you what you need. Um, really would like an opportunity to meet you. We have a lot of fun doing that. So, Mike, got that stuff out of the way. So, the a fable. We're getting into fables now. Okay, I
Fable.
like where this is going.
Fable.
Let's
Have
take.
you heard of the goose that laid the golden eggs?
I mean, I've heard of it. I don't know if I could
Okay,
recite it for you.
fable goes that a guy has a goose that lays golden eggs, and he takes those eggs into the city and sells them. And in a very short time, he and his wife become very rich.
Okay.
And he gets the bright idea that, well, these eggs just aren't coming in fast enough. I want to get more eggs. So what I'll do is I will kill the goose, cut her open, and then I can take all the eggs at once and sell them and then be super rich. And of course, he kills the goose and there's no eggs inside. And hence the you killed the goose that laid the golden
Yeah.
eggs, right?
Okay.
So this analogy is a goose that lays golden eggs. Okay.
Okay.
So stay with me on this.
I'm with you. I'm
So
intrigued.
so there's a farmer that he needs to buy a tractor to farm his land.
Okay.
Okay. And the cost of that tractor is a goose that lays golden eggs. Well, he doesn't have a goose that lays golden eggs, but his neighbor does. Okay.
Okay.
So he's talking to his neighbor about the need for a tractor to farm his land and the need for a goose that lays golden eggs. And the farmer, his neighbor, also a farmer, says, well, I'll tell you what I'll do, Dave. I'll lend you my goose that lays golden eggs. I get one golden egg a year. And you can borrow my goose. And as long as you pay me a golden egg for each year that you're going to use my goose, right? Makes sense. So the farmer says, well, it's going to take me about 5 years of farming to save up enough money to pay back the goose and 5 golden eggs to my neighbor that lent me his goose, right? So he does that. He borrows the goose, takes it in, pays for his tractor, and over the next 5 years, he makes enough money farming to pay back this neighbor his golden goose and 5 golden eggs, because the goose laid a golden egg each year, right? Simple enough?
Yeah.
Okay. So then he comes to the realization, like, man, instead of saving up enough money to pay back my neighbor that a goose that lays golden eggs plus 5 golden eggs, if I just save up enough money to buy my own goose that lays golden eggs, I won't have to pay him the 5 extra golden eggs. So he saves up enough money, buys his own goose so he doesn't have to borrow his neighbor's, and then he uses that goose to go out and buy the next tractor. Let's just say the tractor lasts about 5 years and you have to trade it in and buy a new tractor. Okay.
Yeah.
That's another part of the analogy.
Okay.
So the next time he does that, he's like, this is genius. It's not going to cost me, because it takes a lot of time to make enough money to buy 5 golden eggs plus the goose, right? So he saves up enough money to buy the goose, and now he has his own goose. And the next tractor he goes to purchase that costs 1 goose that lays golden eggs, he just pays for that with his goose and doesn't have to borrow it from his farmer neighbor, and saves 5 golden eggs. Okay?
Yeah.
Perfect. So the first tractor he bought cost him a goose plus 5 golden eggs. The next tractor he purchased, he saved up enough money, bought his own goose, and purchased the next tractor, saved 5 golden eggs. Genius, right? Well, then he knows he's going to have to buy a tractor in another 5 years, so he starts saving up money so he can now go and purchase another goose, because these tractors cost 1 goose that lays golden eggs. And then he comes across you, Dave, and you say, dude, this goose that lays golden eggs, if you put it in a very specially designed nest box, it won't lay 1 golden egg a year. It'll lay 2 golden eggs a year. So over the course of 5 years, this goose will lay 10 golden eggs, right? So he does that. He does that, puts it in this specially designed nest box that will guarantee that it's going to lay 2 golden eggs a year. Then when he's ready to purchase his next tractor, you tell him, don't use your goose that's laying 2 golden eggs a year or 10 golden eggs over the next 5 years. Use your neighbor's goose, because he's only going to charge you 1 golden egg a year or 5 golden eggs over the next 5 years. Okay, so in a sense, when he buys his third tractor, he uses his neighbor's goose. It cost him 5 golden eggs, but yet his goose is laying 10 golden eggs. So he's 5 golden eggs ahead. by
Yeah.
doing that.
Okay.
So the question that I have for everyone listening is, if a tractor costs you one goose that lays golden eggs, that's the cost of the tractor, and you have to have the tractor. You have to have the tractor to work,
Yeah.
right? You have to
Yeah.
you have to farm your land. So he's going to buy the tractor. Do you use your goose that is producing 10 golden eggs over 5 years? Or do you use your neighbor's goose that's only going to cost you 5 golden eggs over 5 years? Which one would you use?
Well, I mean, I think the answer is rather obvious. I think that's the point, is you're going to use your neighbors because you get to keep 5 golden eggs at that point.
You get to keep 5 golden eggs. Yes, it's going to cost you 5 golden eggs, but you're making 10 because your goose is in this specially designed nest box, right?
I think that's my
So,
favorite part.
so to tie this into IBC, and instead of buying a tractor every 5 years, we're buying a pickup truck.
Ah,
Pickup trucks are, let's just say $50,000. And if you use your $50,000, like the first tractor, that's gone forever. You're not making any golden eggs, okay? But if you put your $50,000 in your specially designed, not nest box, but your specially designed life insurance policy,
mhm.
you're going to earn over 5 years not 10 golden eggs, but $10,000. Okay, that 50,000 is going to grow to 60,000 at 4% interest. Okay, if you use your neighbor's goose or your neighbor's $50,000, it's going to cost you $5,000 over those 5 years, like the 5 golden eggs.
Mhm.
And so your money is earning $10,000. Your neighbor's money, or financial institution, or commercial bank, or Ford Credit, or wherever you're borrowing that money, you're using someone else's money, and there's a cost to it.
Yep.
So if you park your money and it can earn $10,000 over 5 years, and use someone else's money and it costs you $5,000 over 5 years, you're 5 golden eggs ahead, or $5,000 ahead. So why wouldn't you do that versus going to a financial institution or a neighbor in this sense, and using their money or their goose when you can have the best of both worlds? So again, kind of a crazy analogy, but I think when you present that, like, well, if I have a goose that's laying 10 golden eggs and I can use my neighbors and it's only going to cost me 5, well, that's a no-brainer. I'll just use my neighbors. But yet when people think of money, it just seems that they think the opposite. Like, well, why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just use my own? Or why wouldn't I just pay cash? Well, people don't think of their money as opportunity or the ability to make money. They think of that goose just running around in their yard and not laying any golden eggs. Well, I'll just pay cash and I'll just take that goose down there and buy the tractor. Well, if you put it in an interest-bearing account, or like in this case, a life insurance policy that has a guaranteed internal rate of return, then that's going to be much better than just going down and paying cash for something. So again, kind of a crazy analogy, but I wanted to just kind of throw that out there to see if that maybe makes a little more sense, or to look at it a different way. Because I think people, when they think of money, their mind just goes into crazy mode sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, and I think that's why, I mean, we went through at the beginning, that's why we're doing this. But I had 3 thoughts pop into my head as you were talking.
Awesome.
One,
Okay.
you and I talk so often that for me to hear anything for the first time about IBC is rather unique. And this is the first time I've heard this analogy. So what I did appreciate about it really is 2 things. One, to your point, to take people's mindsets out of money mode, we'll call it that for lack of a better term, and just to shape thinking around something people have likely heard of or can understand at a tangible level. it speaks to the theory of IBC. So the infinite banking concept is a theory of cash flow. The catalyst or the vehicle, the mechanism we run it through is a whole life policy. A lot of times when I talk to people, they get hung up on the fact that it is money and in the whole life policy itself. But really, in this, those don't matter. IBC is a theory, and you took that theory and you represented the players in that theory using the goose, using the farmer, using some golden eggs. So I appreciate that. The other thing that I appreciated is you made mention, and I want to reiterate it because I think it's very important, is this farmer needed a tractor, Mike. He had to have it. It wasn't a maybe I'm going to buy a tractor, maybe not. He needed it to farm. That was his livelihood. And IBC works best. You're spending this money anyway. You need food, you need shelter. Entrepreneurs need to pay their employees. It's a have to kind of mentality. So the idea is not, am I going to buy a Ferrari? Should I run it through an IBC? You're spending money anyway. It's a have to. Why not run it through a specially designed nest box? I don't know if I got that correct, but a specially designed policy that's going to capture money that you're already spending and have it head towards back towards your bank account. You become your own bank. So again, it's a have to. This farmer was going to buy a tractor. So he found a better method and a mechanism to do that, to recapture that money. And that's our whole goal in talking about IBC. We both believe this is the best mechanism to do that, to have that flow of money come back towards you for money you're going to spend anyway. So those two ideas, the idea of getting the IBC theory out of money, the money mindset, and into something else that's as goofy as a golden goose. But then this is a have to mentality. In other words, you're going to spend the money, run it through a policy, recapture money that you're losing. And you're going to, over time, it's not a get rich quick scheme, but over time, you're going to be much, much wealthier. You're talking legacy wealth. And we've mentioned that many times in this podcast, but you're talking legacy wealth over several, decades, tens of years. So those two things stuck out to me. So I like this. This is like teacher time with Mike. As a former educator, I love the ability to take something that necessarily isn't associated with it and to fit the narrative into it so people can understand it. So I thought that was well done, Mike.
Well, it's so going back to the fable where the farmer kills the goose that laid the golden eggs and obviously gets no golden eggs cutting
Mhm.
open the goose. Uh, it speaks to greed and just short-sightedness. Just he's not thinking long term. He's thinking immediate gratification. Whereas, like you just mentioned, this IBC is not immediate gratification. It's not short-sighted. It's long-term thinking into the future, years down the road, even generations down the road. When you look at a financial legacy, so I think it's a good analogy for that. And another thing that people overlook, and I say people, I mean, there's corporations, going back to Coca-Cola is probably the most famous one when you look at economic value added, or, what in short, EVA with your money, or opportunity cost. So people think that, well, I'm just going to take my $50,000 and buy a truck, or I'm going to take my whatever $1,000 and go buy a smartphone, or whatever it is. Anytime you have money that leaves your family, yes, there's the initial cost of whatever that expense was, but there's also added cost on top of that of opportunity that could have made. So again, going back to the goose, if you have a goose that you can put in a specially designed nest box that's going to make you two golden eggs a year,
Yeah.
guaranteed, you put it in this nest box and you're going to get two golden eggs a year. Well, if you take that goose and go purchase something with it, a year later, what did that item cost you? Did it cost you a goose, or did it really cost you a
Yeah.
goose and two eggs? Because had you not purchased it, you would be two golden eggs richer. So it's that opportunity cost of your capital or of your cash that people don't always take into consideration when they think, well, why would I do that? Why wouldn't I just pay cash? Why would I put it in this nest box and then borrow my neighbor's goose? That sounds crazy. If I got the cash, why wouldn't I just spend it? It has to do with economic value added. It has to do with opportunity cost of that capital. So
I think those are two topics that not everybody thinks about. And I self-admittedly, I don't always think about those things. We're out on the town, let's go out to dinner. I'm not thinking about opportunity costs and value add when I'm hungry and I want to go to
oh,
dinner.
for sure, for
But my,
sure.
my point is that's why where I'm going is that's why we're doing this. We want people to start thinking about those things. And I think in all this too, I think, and maybe this is a precursor to another podcast we're going to do, Mike, but you kind of have to, in my experience, humble oneself to say, this is what I've learned. And I knew a fair amount about, finances and economics and stuff, but to humble oneself and open your mind's eye, not to get into too much weird stuff, but you need to be humble enough to look at this in a different perspective. And I think I've run into that in talking with several people. Like they're very knowledgeable, they're very well educated in the finance world, and this is something they have never heard of. And what they're not doing is taking the time to sit down and look at the numbers, and work through what IBC is actually doing. And the reason they're not is because, to be crass, they know it all already. And that's difficult. So I do think there needs to be some humbleness. I know we've talked about that. Is something you want to add to that? It's just a thought.
Yeah, and so going back on, again, I just kind of made up this crazy analogy from the old fable, but on the as far as the reason why I used five golden eggs, what your neighbor charges you, and 10 golden eggs, what you would get over 5 years with your goose. What that is, if you put your money into one of these specially designed IBC policies at 50,000 at 4%, and you can run the numbers yourself. 50,000 at 4% over 5 years is 60,833. Okay, it's going to make 10,000, or the 10 golden eggs analogy. That 50,000 you're borrowing from your neighbor or a financial institution or your commercial bank or whatever at the same 4%. Both of them are 4%. Well, that amortized over 60 months or 5 years is 55,250. So there's a difference of $5,000 there, or five golden eggs, going back to the analogy. But again, people think that, well, if my money's sitting here earning 4% and I'm going to go borrow it from a bank at 4%, well, that's just stupid,
Yeah.
Mike. Why would I do that? It's a wash. It's the same. Well, it's not the same. It's over $5,000 difference. Again, that's when you go back to, I mean, a 10-year-old kid could understand, do it this way, you make 10 golden eggs, you do it this way, it costs you five golden eggs. Which one do you want to do? I mean, I think anyone would say, well, I'm going to be five golden eggs ahead if I just use someone else's goose and keep my goose. I mean, it's very simple. But again, when you start talking to adults and like, oh, I'm an expert on money and I deal with money every day. I mean, everyone deals with money every day. Everyone kind of runs their own business of their own household. If you look at your household as a business, you have money coming in, you have expenses. Hopefully, at the end of the month, you have a profit, you have some savings, you have something. I mean, it's a little business that every single person runs themselves. Some of them do it very good, some of them do it very poorly.
Yeah.
But when everyone thinks that, oh, I'm an expert on this, but it's kind of, you don't know what you really don't know, and you're assuming things like the 4% versus the 4%. So going back, maybe I should have started out with that. Like, why do you use five golden eggs and 10 golden eggs? Well, that's $50,000 at 4% on each side. 4% on the savings side and 4% on the loan side. Again, you would think if they're both 4%, that would be a wash. Why are we even having this discussion? Well, it's over $5,000 difference. So,
and maybe this is another podcast from the time, but real quick, the reason for the difference is the uninterrupted growth in the IBC policy versus the amortization in the borrowing. I mean, you pay off principal and interest, and that decreases as you go. And to your point, it's a $5,000 difference. So that's a real quick reason, and we can get into the weeds in that. But there is a difference. I just wanted to give people a taste as to why. So wrapping it up here, Mike, I like teacher time with Mike. Maybe that's the new segment. Call it teacher time with Mike or something like that. But I appreciated the idea of bringing the theory of IBC into something that people can relate to. So thanks for sharing that with us. And I don't know, maybe can I steal that if I talk to people? Am I allowed to do that? I guess you get it
Absolutely.
for free on the podcast. So
Right.
okay, so maybe I'll just point him to the podcast. But yeah, and anytime I feel like again, my background, anytime you can parallel thinking or something to an idea people can relate to, it's always a great idea. So wrapping up, if you want to get in contact, if you got another fable you want Mike to fit into IBC, give us a call. I don't know if Humpty Dumpty fits in somehow, or I don't know. But give us a shout, 507-205-2284. My email is dave@familybankingsolutions.com. Mike's is mike@familybankingsolutions.com. Give us a shout. We'd love to talk with you. Again, one of our favorite things is meeting people. We talk about this pretty much all day, every day. If it's not with each other, it's with other people. But we are, pretty much chatting IBC. So be part of that. Get us on the calendar, and we'll have a chat with you about anything really you want to. Hopefully related to IBC. All right. Appreciate your time. We'll look forward to seeing you on the next episode.